The phrase that any cook can run a country didn't come from nowhere. Back in the 17th century, Madame de Sévigné made a similar compliment, but not to a woman, rather to a male chef named François Vadel. This man effortlessly created intricate dishes and organized banquets for hundreds of guests, and, in the opinion of his contemporary, he could easily manage a kingdom. We know about Vadel thanks to a beautifully made film, which, of course, doesn't entirely adhere to historical accuracy. So, the famous chef wasn't even named François. His real name was Fritz Karl, but after finding a second home in France, he began introducing himself in the local fashion. He was born in the first half of the 17th century to a humble peasant family and was expected to follow in his father's footsteps. However, François preferred a more refined craft, becoming an apprentice to a pastry chef at the age of 15. There were no opportunities to learn haute cuisine in the provinces. Yet, he gained his initial knowledge about ingredients, how to mix them, cook, and present them properly in Tournai. His talents were soon recognized, and when it was time for him to embark on his solo career, he was recommended as an assistant chef for the construction of the Château de Vaux-le-Vicomte. At that time, no one in the area knew much about the owner, a certain Fouquet from Paris, but it was clear he had a great deal of money. The estate and palace looked magnificent. A year after François began working there, he met Fouquet. The new Minister of Finance was so impressed by a light sweet cream that the chef had prepared that he wanted to meet the creator in person. Vadel was instantly promoted to oversee the entire kitchen of the chateau, and for the next 7 years, he tirelessly worked for Fouquet. Word soon spread that the wealthiest man in France had acquired the most talented chef in the world. Fouquet spoke so deliciously about Vadel's achievements to his acquaintances that the chef's fame extended far beyond Vaux-le-Vicomte. Vadel happily continued to invent new dishes. It's no surprise that he was chosen to be responsible for the banquet in honor of King Louis XIV. This grand reception remained etched in the memories of the courtiers for a long time. At Fouquet's command, 80 tables were set, all adorned with pure gold dishware. On the tables were 5 courses of hot poultry dishes. There were also candied fruits, creams, cakes, and ice cream. However, Fouquet's hospitality ultimately led to his downfall, resulting in his arrest on charges of embezzlement and imprisonment. Chef Vadel fled to England, fearing he would follow his master into the dungeons. But Vadel didn't stay long in London. Soon, a fateful encounter occurred. He ran into Gourville, a friend and assistant to Prince Condé, who was looking for a chef for his estate. Thus, François Vadel, the culinary genius, found himself in another luxurious estate in France, Chantilly. The great Condé didn't intend to outshine Fouquet in hosting lavish receptions. However, the talented chef prepared extraordinary dishes. He had a knack for transforming everyday ingredients into true masterpieces, like the exquisite light cream served at the end of the meal, adorned with berries. As a result, visitors flocked to Chantilly. It became fashionable to pay a visit to Condé. Naturally, even the king couldn't resist the allure. Madame de Sévigné joyfully exclaimed, "This wizard Vadel organizes everything so beautifully. He could run France." Soon, a meeting with the most important guest in the kingdom was scheduled. To welcome the king in the best possible way, Condé spent 50,000 crowns. Accompanying Louis XIV were nearly 3,000 people. Condé had a strategic goal. The king was preparing for war, and it was crucial for the prince to be appointed to lead the army. This promised numerous favors and substantial financial rewards. Vadel had to surpass himself. The beautifully crafted film depicts Vadel's tireless efforts to please both his patron and the French monarch. For almost 2 weeks, the chef hardly slept, brainstorming unique ways to present the dishes. The climax of the festivities was approaching, and the table had to feature everything: a variety of meats and the finest fish. However, disaster struck with the fish. The delivery was delayed. In a moment of extreme frustration, Vadel exclaimed to Gourville, "My honor cannot endure this." Tragically, Vadel was soon found dead. The formidable military leader, Prince Condé, wept upon hearing of Vadel's demise, especially since the fish had finally arrived at the palace. The diligent chef had ordered it from several ports, and if only he had waited just a bit longer. Yet, the fish remained untouched that evening, out of respect for Vadel's memory. Nevertheless, the chef fulfilled Prince Condé's mission. The prince received his appointment, returned to the court, and regained all the favors he had lost during his rebellion against the king in the Civil War. One of Vadel's greatest inventions, the light sweet cream of Chantilly, named after Condé's estate, is still made today. It consists of whipped cream, sugar, and vanilla, often with the addition of berries.